The crises of the 17th century left deep and lasting marks on Europe. In Germany, the 30 Years' War brought massive destruction and loss of life. When peace finally came in 1648, Germany was politically fragmented and economically devastated. Yet, in many ways, the political structure of the Holy Roman Empire remained much as it had been before the conflict. In France, the situation was different. The nobility attempted to use middle-class unrest and the upheaval of the Fronde to roll back royal authority. However, the rebellion failed. Most people concluded that, even with its flaws, absolutism was preferable to chaos. The monarchy was restored stronger than before because France discovered that the alternative to royal authority was not liberty, but disorder. Despite returning to older political structures, Europe did undergo important changes in the wake of the crises. After a century of religious wars and devastation, Europeans increasingly believed that religion was no longer worth killing for. This did not mean that religion lost significance, but rather that enforcing religious conformity through violence was no longer desirable or productive. A new attitude took hold. Individuals should be allowed to worship as they choose, rather than being compelled to adopt the ruler's faith. Although full religious toleration would not become widespread until the Enlightenment, the 17th century planted the first seeds of this shift. The political lesson of the century was clear: nobles and monarchs must cooperate, not oppose one another. As a result, the 17th and early 18th centuries are often called the Golden Age of Kings. Monarchs emerged as the dominant force in European government, but they continued to rely on the nobility to help administer their states. Rather than resisting royal authority, nobles increasingly took on important roles within the system, serving as military officers, bureaucrats, royal advisors, and provincial governors. To perform these roles effectively, nobles needed more than battlefield skills. They required education, administrative training, and literacy, which transformed the nobility into a more intellectual and professional political class than it had been in the medieval era. After 1650, the European economy began to recover and expand, laying important groundwork for the Industrial Revolution. This growth was supported by several key developments, including more sophisticated banking and credit systems, the expansion of overseas trade, and the creation and spread of limited liability laws that encouraged investment. At the same time, increasing capital accumulation and the emergence of early joint stock companies strengthened Europe's economic capacity, opening the door for the dramatic economic expansion of the 18th and 19th centuries. The crises of the 17th century reshaped Europe in profound ways. Although these challenges brought immense suffering, they also led to significant long-term transformations, including a decline in religious extremism, the rise of stronger and more centralized monarchies, and the development of a more educated and administratively skilled nobility. At the same time, early economic structures began to take shape that would later fuel industrialization. As a result, Europe emerged from this turbulent period battered but better positioned for the political and economic revolutions that would define the modern world.